And we are live. Happy Mystery Monday, everybody. I'm thrilled to be your on-air host, Sarah DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back the incredible New York Times best-selling author, Kate White, here to give us the inside scoop in this very special pre-launch event about her red-hot next book, The Second Husband. Kate, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Oh, Sarah, thank you. Well, The Second Husband, and I just happen to have a copy here.
Show us that gorgeous cover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This cover, I was so happy with this cover. I think it's my favorite cover ever. It's a story of a woman who is on her second marriage and she's deliriously happy. And it pretty much starts off very quickly with the police coming to her door saying they are reinvestigating the brutal murder of her first husband. And you discover that she married pretty quickly after the death of her first husband. So then the reader is left wondering, what does that say about her? What does it say about the second husband? What's really going on here? And you begin to discover she was not happy in that first marriage, and how much of this is going to catch up with her, deservedly so or not, is really what the journey's about.
Ooh, well, the journey is delicious, Kate White, and you hooked us good as you always do. So I can't wait to get the inside scoop on this and hear all about your process, about this book, where your ideas come from. Oh my gosh, so much to talk about. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who's watching. We are broadcasting to 6 different destinations, as we always are. So no matter where you're watching from, Facebook, YouTube, our private Mystery and Thriller Mavens group, wherever you are, this is the right place. You're at the right time. And you know how it works. Ask our featured author anything. This is your chance to get the inside scoop on The Second Husband. Anissa, welcome to the conversation, saying hello, Sarah and Kate from South Carolina.
Hello,
Anissa, welcome. And she says, this is such a gorgeous cover. Kate, I totally agree. Tell us the story of this gorgeous cover.
Thank you so much, because Sarah and I were chatting beforehand about this a little bit. And one of the things about covers is that you can offer input as an author. And I at least I can. I don't know if that's true for everyone, but I think publishers, for the most part, really want to be collaborative. And they said to me this time, you want to send us a mood board or anything. But based on my days editing Cosmopolitan, I just felt very strongly that I wanted to do a little research about what I think works. And I think what really works is when a cover tells us in a microsecond a story. And I gave them a little memo about some of my thoughts, and I felt they delivered that. So this was the first go. And I love how in it you're left wondering, what's on the other side of that path? Is there a body there? What's going on? It's ominous. You have a sense there's something happening. And so it told a little story. And I love that.
Ooh, I love that too. And the mood of the cover, something ominous, those clouds. I mean, you can tell that there's some danger lurking. And I love knowing that your prior career as the editor-in-chief at Cosmo helped to inform your choosing and creating the cover. That is so cool to know. Thank you. Carrie, welcome to the conversation. She says, this is Carrie from Carrie Reads Them All. Carrie's one of my favorite bookstagrammers.
Mine too.
Yay! And she says, I loved this book and I will be featuring it tomorrow for Pub Day.
Oh, thank you, Carrie. I'm a big fan of Carrie, and she's so supportive. And I get book ideas from her, which I love, because I trust her. She's got great taste.
Carrie does have great taste. And and her handle says it all. Carrie Reads Them All. She reads all the thrillers. She takes really great bookstagrams, book photos on Instagram. She has really cool reviews. Carrie, tell us what since we both love you and are fans of yours, tell us what you loved about The Second Husband, because I want to hear from your perspective. Thank you for joining us and for chiming in. Anissa saying, wow, this makes me want to read the book even more. Exactly. There's so much here to chat about. And Kate is also racking up all the praise. So Samantha Downing, internationally best-selling author of My Lovely Wife, among others, raves that this book is an immersive, spellbinding thriller about a woman questioning everything, including her husband. In Kate White's perfectly plotted novel, it's impossible to predict what will happen next. So, Kate, let's talk about this review. First of all, is Samantha right? Do you plot, or are you a pantser just plunging in? Give us the scoop on your process.
I am definitely a plotter, but not in a, really every single detail way. I once heard Laura Lipman, when I was interviewing her once, say that she believes in like a distant shore way of plotting where she knows where she's going, and yet she doesn't hammer it all out perfectly, and that's me. I know always who the killer is in advance. I know why they did it, and I know roughly how I might disguise the killer. But then I work with a notebook to do about 4 chapters at a time, and that allows me to have some of that magical experience of while you're sitting right there, all of a sudden your brain spits something out, and you're like, where did that come from? How did my brain do that for me? And that is part of why I sit down every day to do it, because it's that almost, orgasmic rush that comes from all of a sudden your subconscious shooting out a plot point to you.
Yes. So, Kate, I love that you honed in on that magical moment. People talk about it as being in flow, in divine flow, as often feeling like a channel. They don't even feel like they are the creator of the story, just the channel of the story. And of course, I love, as a Cosmo girl myself, your use of the term orgasmic, because it does feel giddying. Do you know where it comes from? Do you have a sense of that, or do you not need to know?
No, what's really amazing, I love that you said the word channel, because I think with my very first book, years ago, this is actually my 16th thriller. With my first one, I plotted it out more because it was my first one. But even as I was doing that, all of a sudden something comes out of your brain and you think, I didn't know that person was going to die, or I didn't know that person would betray her, or whatever. And it is such a rush, and it is like you're channeling something.
So let me ask you, since you're saying it comes to you and you know who the killer is going to be, and it is this partnership, where do you think it comes from? Is it a divine source? Is it your own unlocking of your own wisdom? Do you need to know? Do you not need to know? Is it just too good? Tell us, because I know what it feels like, but I can't describe it either.
Yeah, well, I think some of it isn't. It feels divine, but it probably isn't. There are 2 things that I use that I find very helpful. One is what a lot of authors talk about, using the what if thing. And I think with the second husband, I really maybe I can't remember exactly how the idea evolved. Sometimes I can, but with this one, it was so fast. But I think I started thinking second husband, and just
Ooh.
what that is. And so what happened to the first husband? What if he died? And I use the what if game, what if this, what if that? And it's great for aspiring authors to know about, because it's so commonly used and it really helps you start exploring. Another idea that really works for me, and this is a little bit kooky, and I'm not a real new agey person, though I do like a good massage. I once interviewed a woman who wrote a book called Practical Intuition. And she considered herself an intuit. And basically what she said is there was nothing particularly magical, but you put the idea out to the universe. And so you get your subconscious poised and ripe to pick up ideas that are out there. So you might say, how is that person going to die? And then the next day you step off a curb and a car almost clips you, and your subconscious might start to toy with the idea of maybe the person's hit by a car. That's kind of a poor example, but it's sort of how it works. And it feels magical, but it's really just your subconscious helping you
Ooh.
and giving you a lot of ideas. But I'll stick with the word divine that you use, Sarah. I like that.
Yay, yay. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm totally vibing, 100% relate to all of this and love your reverence for, respect for, the process and letting us into that, giving us the scoop. Carrie says she is dying over here. She says, "Thank you so much, Kate. You're bringing her to tears." She said, "I couldn't put this book down. I think what I loved the most," this is Carrie from Carrie Reads Them All. "What I loved the most was how realistic the characters were. She would like to know if the characters talk to you and lead you in unexpected directions." Again, this is Carrie from Carrie Reads Them All, and I'm going to link to her Instagram. Everybody follow her because she has great recommendations. Here's the link right in the comments. Kate, over to you.
Yes, well, I do they do talk to me. I talk to them. I guess I try to channel them. I keep coming back to what is character motivation, because when you are sometimes a little bit stuck, it's really a, what you need to do is get back to the character and let the character tell you what he or she would do based on who they are. So yeah, my characters are in my head a lot. It gets a little crowded in there, particularly when I'm finishing one book, which I just did. I handed in the one for 2023, and now I've got to start the next one, and I'm promoting the second husband. So it's like, well, there are a lot of people going on, going on and hanging out in there right now, talking to each other sometimes.
I can imagine that it does get a little crowded in there because I can't, because what's interesting is that the process of creativity is one mindset. The process of editing is another mindset. Then the process
Right.
of promoting is a third mindset. So to have to be three different Kates at three different times and to be in that very vulnerable writer creative phase, but at the same time cutting your 2023 book and then creating a 2024 book. How do you do it, Kate?
Yeah, there is this weird period, kind of like a Venn diagram, where there's this overlap, and it's usually around this time of year where one's coming out, one has just been handed in, and I'm getting notes from the editor, and then I'm getting ready to do the next one, because even though my book contract with Harper is for one a year, I need more than a year to write one. So I have to be developing the idea about 3 months before I actually start writing. Um, and sometimes what helps me right before I start publicizing a new book is to take it, as I did with a second husband, and crack it open and go through it and remind myself of some things that, as I've been writing the new book, I may have almost lost track of. So with the second husband, I definitely breeze through again and refamiliarize myself with the characters and just some of the things I enjoyed really working on in the book.
Ooh, okay, cool. Well, I love knowing how this works. So thank you. Chrissy, welcome to the conversation. She says, "I am new to thrillers, but I'm excited to read this book." Chrissy, welcome. You're in the right place. And
Oh
trust
my
me, you're
gosh,
going
and she has the
to
cutest children in the universe.
look at that little pumpkin on
Yeah,
the top right there.
really, really.
Chrissy, thrillers are addictive, and once you dip a toe in, you're just going to get sucked right in. And trust me, you are going to love, love, love this book. So, everybody, check it out. I'm going to drop the link where you can pre-order it today, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will send it out to you the instant it drops. So be sure to grab it right now because you're going to love it as much as we do. The second husband. And don't just take my word for it, because Sarah Pekkanen, New York Times bestselling author of most recently The Golden Couple, raves about how intricately plotted and suspenseful it is. I love that. And she goes on to say that it is a terrific book packed with surprises and a nail-biting conclusion. So without any spoilers, let's talk about that nail-biting conclusion. So Kate, you share that you knew from the beginning who the killer was going to be. Does that ever change for you? I take questions in advance, and someone submitted one and said she would like to know if your characters talk to you, which you already answered. If they do, you've ever had to change something?
Sometimes when the characters talk to me, I do change things, but never the killer. That's
Mm.
not to say there'd be anything wrong with doing it, but I've never actually done that. Uh, I think because as a loose plotter, I really do work out what some of the major twists and reveals will be. And once I get know what they are, I become pretty happy with them and want to stay with them. Interestingly, one of the things, speaking of twists, that helped me a lot when I was first starting to write mysteries was I read a couple books on magic because magicians are experts in misdirection, and they are sometimes, you think they're doing the trick at this moment, but they've done it a few seconds before. And so I learned something about hiding the killer and trying to make the reader be misdirected, because part of the fun of reading a mystery is trying to guess, but you like being misdirected. At least I do. I never mind when I haven't guessed. Do you, Sarah? Do you mind when you haven't guessed?
No, I don't mind. And I don't know what's wrong with me, but even in my book club, I rarely guess. And I think it's because I am a very believing person. So if you point me in a misdirection, which I now know you've learned from reading books about magic, I will follow your misdirection. I'll be like, let me run right after that. And meanwhile, you're over there like, ha ha ha, cackling as you've misdirected me. But I follow where I've been pointed. And then it's interesting because some other people in my book club will be like, I knew it. And I rarely do. I rarely do. And I like that. That's what is fun for me
Yeah.
to be on the journey.
I almost don't want to know. I want to have that great experience of feeling that the writer, not, I don't even think of it as tricked me, but just
Mm.
seduced me different places and gave me the pleasure of the journey. And that's what you're always hoping for as an author, that it's fun for the reader to guess and wonder, and then maybe be surprised at the end with the reveal.
Oh, yes, exactly, exactly. That's the fun of it. Exactly. It's the adventure of it. That's what I enjoy as well. Chrissy would like to know, having written 16 books, congratulations, Kate. Do you find it hard to keep it fresh? And she said, thank you. These are her grandchildren, and she's up to 5 now. Yay.
She looks like their mom. She's so gorgeous. It is a challenge. It is, because, now I'm starting the 18th, because the 17th will be out next year. I think you've already possibly, I'm not saying that I have, used the idea that someone close, the protagonist, did it. You've used the idea that maybe even the cop who's investigating it has done it. You've gone through things, and it's really hard to keep it fresh. With the second husband, or with any book, what I try to just do is go back to character and see what the characters I'm beginning to develop. This is when I'm first thinking of what's going to happen. The main thing is just what could be organically true, and then what could be organically true as they go down that path, so that it comes from a place of reality, as opposed to, not that thrillers are particularly real or people would be dying all over the place, but it rather than something contrived. And that's what you hope for, that it springs from something that really does make sense.
Oh, I like that. I like that. And Kate, we were talking about how you use marriage as a fertile hunting ground for creativity and for exploring different themes in your books. Let's talk about that. Give us the scoop.
Well, I've written some books that haven't had marriage at the core, and my Bailey Weggins mysteries don't. Bailey's single divorce, but I've really liked working on books where there's a marriage at the center. And I think because, though I wasn't married to him, I had a boyfriend in my late 20s who was very deceptive. And because I'd been fixed up through a friend of his, I I had every reason to think, oh, he's a certain kind of person. And when I began to find out that, wow, he's a liar, he's deceptive, he's untrustworthy. What was so interesting was just not only discovering that about somebody, but also realizing that somebody that you were in a relationship with, um, it was not what you thought it was at all. And the idea that you could be kind of living your life thinking it's one thing when it's really something else. I think any woman who's lived with a husband or a partner, um, wife, anyone would knows who's had that person cheat or betray them somehow, lie to them. They know how weird it is for them because they have to not only adjust to the person isn't who they think they are, but their life wasn't what they thought it was. And I love the idea of something that you think you know so well
Mm.
being something that you don't necessarily know very well. And part of what the character must contend with in the second husband. Her name is Emma Hawke, and she's a researcher and trend forecaster. And so, what's interesting is because she's a researcher and trend forecaster, she's really good at looking at data. That's her specialty. But now she's looking at things and realizing she may have misinterpreted them. She may have picked up information that's wrong or failed to see information that's a certain way because she wanted to believe it was something else.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes to all of that. So I love that you very cleverly made her this very good at her job interpreter of some data, but missing data in her own life because that, as you said earlier, is something that is organically true. We've all seen someone like that or been that person ourselves where we're very good at something professionally, but we miss it
Right.
in our personal lives. As a woman who also in her 20s had a very deceptive boyfriend who then had to question everything, it's interesting how smart women can get fooled, and be very good at one thing and miss those clues in the other. I think it's so interesting to, at the end of the day, we can only look at the clues that we have, the information that we have. Um,
And yet, Sarah, it's important, I think, and this is some of the information I learned through Cosmo too. It's important to sometimes step back, note what you're editing that you tell your friends. What are you leaving out and why? What are you might you be rationalizing and trying to see a certain way? When do you hear yourself protesting too much? And I think those are the things that you have to do to help you take a second look at the data and see if you're ignoring what it's really sending you, if you're ignoring some red flags.
Yes, yes, because I always think about that quote from Maya Angelou that when
Oh,
people show you who they are, believe them. The reason that's so
exactly.
brilliant but so hard is because we don't want to believe it. We want to
Right.
believe that they are who we thought they were or that they are good, kind, loving, whatever. And so I love how we're getting into the heart of
Yes.
that.
I love that quote too. And the funny thing is, I've seen some research that shows that people actually spell it out. They'll say, I've always been a bit of a bad boy or something. And like, hey, danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Right. That red flag, and yet so
Yeah.
many of us, especially in our young and hopeful days, are like, "Ooh, tasty. Let me help you with that."
Yeah,
You
exactly.
troubled bad boy. Oh my God.
Oh,
Sharon, welcome to the conversation. Thank you for joining us. Saying it must be fun to make an ordinary person get creepier and more deceptive as the book goes on. Kate.
oh, that Sharon, that is so true. One of the things I love doing, and I did do it in The Second Husband and in other books, is where there's that almost slow burn reveal where you get a little ping of warning, not some big boom of warning, but it's the ping. And those pings are terrifying as far as I'm concerned. In some ways, they're scarier than the big boom, the big red flag. It's that little thing that is easy to dismiss because it is small. And I love putting those pings in this book. And there are lots of those pings, and they build up. And the main character has to take a serious look at them.
Ooh, why do you think that these small pings are more terrifying and interesting than the big reveals, Kate?
I think because there's ambiguity there and you can't act on it right away. It's not like something you go, oh my gosh, this is horrific. My world just blew up. I've got to deal with it. It's almost sort of like death by a thousand paper cuts, where it takes you a long time, and all that time you're agonizing, you're playing around in your head. Is this what I think it is? No, 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 it can't be. I'll ignore it. And there's a lot of that in the book. And I found it really delicious to write about, maybe because it is so torturous.
Ooh, well, I love that you had fun doing it, because I think in some ways, in a lot of ways, the energy of the person writing it comes through. And you can tell that you were having fun in this book, and that makes it fun to read. Jamie, oh, Kate, go ahead. Did you have a response?
Oh,
No?
Jamie,
Okay.
Jamie, what?
Okay, I thought you were about to say something in
No,
response to what
that's
I was
good.
saying. Okay, perfect. Over to Jamie. Welcome to the conversation. She says, I love that you set up so many pings with different characters. So it's not always easy to tell who the murderer is.
Yeah, that's part of what you have to do if you're doing books like mine that are thrillers, psychological thrillers, but they're also whodunits, is that you need to make the reader constantly guess a bunch of characters. So you have to create those little pings with characters, and maybe it's just a phone call that a character takes slightly off stage, that even if the main character doesn't wonder what the person was talking about on the phone, the reader wonders, like, why was she in the other room taking a call? What was going on? So you do create those little pings for those characters, and yet the trick is not to be so obvious that you give the murderer away. But sometimes people go through a process of elimination and guess the murderer, but that's okay too. That's part of the fun, to guess that person sometimes.
That is part of the fun. Jamie, thanks for joining us and for the comment. We appreciate you. Chrissy would like to know, when does it come out? It's out tomorrow. Kate, how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, it's exciting that because it's number 16, and I've been there before, but it never gets old, Sarah. I love the thrill of having a book come out, and this one's going to be in airports. It's got some great airport placement. So I'm headed to Cleveland in a couple weeks as part of the book tour, and I'm hoping I'll see it in the airport.
Yay! Well, we will be looking forward to following your adventures on social media to see if you do spot it in the airport. I'm betting that you do. The book is out tomorrow, you guys, so grab your copy today. Here's the link, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will ship it to you first thing tomorrow morning. And Nisa would like to know, is there anything that you've ever uncovered in 16 books, 18 now, because you're writing 18, in your research that was just too creepy to use? And Nisa, great question.
Yeah, very. There are some things I don't remember offhand, but one thing really weird that happened to me is once I was invited on a junket to a beautiful hotel in the Bahamas. In fact, Daniel Craig filmed scenes from one of the James Bond movies there. And so they gave us just a gorgeous suite, my husband and I. And since we didn't have to pay for anything, we indulged in this a massage in the room. And while I was getting my massage, the local massage therapist, she said to me, "What is that big manuscript on the side table in the living room?" And I said, Oh, that's a book I wrote. I write murder mysteries. And a little while goes by and she goes, I think my friend was murdered by her boyfriend. I'm almost positive, and I don't know what to do. I'm afraid that he knows that I suspected it and that I'm in danger. And I was like, wait, this happens to my characters, not to me.
Oh my God. This is during your massage?
Yeah, during my massage, she kind of, my shoulders started out up here and then they got even higher.
Yeah, exactly. Usually after a massage, your shoulders come down, but Kate
Right.
comes out at a full 10,
Right.
terrified. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Man,
Yeah.
so all I could tell her to do was, first of all, don't give him my name was one of the first things I said. But, I only told her, please, go to the police if you suspect something and tell them. But that was really kind of scary that happened. And I've had a few other things like that were just weird things that I guess come with the territory. And sometimes doing research where you go someplace or you go, you travel to someplace for your research, sometimes you find yourself in just something that seems a little bit odd. I write books that might be scary at moments, but I am totally a loser and a wimp when it comes to anything like that myself personally.
Okay, you are nothing. You could never be a loser or a wimp. Whoa, these are intense
Yeah.
stories.
Sarah, just quickly, I once was doing a scene and I tried to have my kids be little helpers for me when they were younger, to give them something to do sometimes. And I didn't work on weekends when they were up. But one time I was trying to figure out what it would sound like to be followed in the woods. And I was just I couldn't just get it going. So I asked my daughter, would she follow me in the woods and she was about 7, just be very, very quiet. And I said, and then if it looks like I'm going to turn around, hide behind a tree. And so I would, as I heard the little crack of the twig and something else, I was so nervous and I had to remind myself, this is somebody with like a Little Mermaid backpack. Do not be alarmed. But there was just something about her following me in the woods that was
Yeah,
very scary.
there is a 7-year-old with a Little Mermaid backpack. That's what I'm going to tell myself next time I think someone is following me. Oh my gosh, Chrissy, speaking for all of us, saying, "Wow, these stories are crazy," and especially the massage therapist story. Jamie Lynn saying, "You are." Bailey Wiggins at heart, then. Absolutely. Kate revealing herself as Bailey. Chrissy would like to know, will you have copies in store in Murder by the Book? Yes, you will, right, Kate?
Yes, they'll be in tomorrow. If they aren't, it's just a supply chain issue, but I have every reason they'll be in stores, and we want people, of course, to order through Murder by the Book, but they're available online as well.
Yes. And if you order through Murder by the Book, DM me, Sarah DiVello, your receipt, and I will get Kate to sign a book plate with a special mysterious mystery message for you.
Yes.
So here's the link once again to pre-order, and then just send me a copy of your receipt. I'm on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I do it all. Just DM me a copy of your receipt and I'll get Kate to sign you a special secret message. That's something we can offer you here today.
Oh, I would love that.
Anissa would like to know, are you going to be in Cleveland with Ron Block, Kate?
Yes, I am. I'm
Yes.
going to be at the, let me just tell you quickly the name.
Let me pull up your website here and I can
it's, hold on. It's the, oh shoot, sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
Cuyahoga Library.
Oh, the Cuyahoga Library has a lot of great events. So everybody peep the entire lineup. And Anissa's saying, yay, Cuyahoga Public Library.
Oh, Anissa, please come. I beg you. It's July 18th. I need you there.
Yay. And everybody, here is Kate's website so that you can get the full lineup right here on Kate's website. So check out all of her events, and you can join her on tour. So check that out. And be sure to follow her on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well. I'm going to drop those links in as well, so that everybody you can keep up with Kate's fabulous adventures, see her on tour. I bet we get some peeks at the airport books. That's so exciting to know that your books will be available in airports. I think we have time for one, maybe two more questions, so get them going in the comments. And Nisa saying if she's up that way, she will be there. Ron is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank
do you
you,
guys have
Lisa.
what will you be talking about, Kate? I mean, besides the second husband, are you talking
I'm going to be talking about that.
writing?
I'm also going to share just a few things I learned in
Mm.
researching the book, because one of the great
Ooh.
things now about being a full-time author, as much as I love my job at Cosmo, is it does give me time to research more. And I turned up some interesting things as I
Ooh.
was researching being a trend forecaster, being a researcher, just some things about marriage. So I thought I'd throw those out.
Oh, that is so fun. So everybody in the Cuyahoga Public Library area, be sure to stop by on July 18th. Head over there. That is going to be a tasty event. And speaking of libraries, the Library Journal gave you a rave review, awarded you, you earned it, a rave review, raving that White establishes a pervasive uneasy tone, ending chapters with cliffhangers and small revelations, picking up on your clever work there, that propel this domestic suspense tale to an intense penultimate scene.
Mm.
Um, I love that review, and I'm sharing some others as well by incredible authors such as Megan Miranda. Everyone, if you want to check out these other fabulous reviews, Megan Miranda,
Oh,
Nerd Daily.
yeah, I think Megan was from the last book.
Oh, was Megan from the last book? Okay, they had it on the page for this one, but you know what, Kate, your fabulous writing comes through all of your books,
Thank you,
so that's
Sarah.
great. All right, everybody. Oh my goodness, I just realized we are actually overtime, but time flies when you're having fun. Oh, Jamie says, don't ever read until the end of the chapter before bed, or you won't be able to stop reading. I have to stop mid-chapter on all of your books.
Oh, Jamie, thank you. That's what you hope for, and you that's what you pray for. So I'm glad you feel that way.
Kate keeping us all up. We can all blame our insomnia on Kate White, keeping us reading just one more chapter. So good, Jamie. I never thought about that. I always just lay there sleeplessly, then I read another one. So hot tip there from Jamie Lynn Brower, suggesting I like that hack. If you need to get to sleep, just stop mid chapter for Kate White books, because if you read to the end, she's going to hook you again. Kate White, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
New
you,
York
Sarah. I
Times
so
bestseller.
appreciate it, and thanks for the lovely comments. Just so enjoyed being back with you.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to host you. And we can't wait to have you back next summer for can you tell us anything about that book, Kate? And do you have a title? Do you have a date yet?
I don't have a title, but I love the premise. It's about a woman who inherits $2.5 million from a man she had a one-night stand with a dozen years before, and she has to figure out why he's done this, because she's in jeopardy, and it has something to do with the reason behind why he left her the money.
Oh, what a fun and fabulous premise there, Kate. I love that. Sharon saying thank you. Yes, we love getting the inside scoop. Anissa saying thank you. Yeah, we love to get those little details, those little hints. So she will be back next year with that tasty book. I can't wait to read. And then in 2024, we'll get her again for the one she's just starting to
Oh,
work
thank
on.
you, Sarah.
All right, everybody. I will see you tonight at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern with Shanora Williams and Nikisa Afia. Kate White, New York Times bestselling author, out tomorrow. Here's the link. Pre-order it, and I will see y'all later. Have a great day.
Thanks, Sarah.